Hello, everybody. My name is Connor Moore, and welcome to One More Day. Today, we're going to talk about just a bunch of random stuff. Because this is the first podcast episode. I've never podcasted before, but I've always wanted to. And here I am. I've got this going. I've got What Is Us, as well as Legends of Athoria, which if you haven't checked those out, make sure to check those out on sickdaystudios.com. So, this podcast is essentially, I think, going to be a way for me to bounce my thoughts off of the wall and I guess back up to myself and to just try to unlock my deeper subconscious. And of course, I'd love for you to be here as well. If you have something that you'd like me to talk about or like my opinion on, definitely let me know. You should be able to contact me at cmore@sickdaystudios.com. So you'll see that I name drop that quite a bit. And that's because I, for the past 2 years, have been recording and editing and streaming on YouTube and Twitch. And that's gone really kind of nowhere. It was getting a lot of traction for quite a while. And I was loving every second of it. And then, I don't know, just one day everyone just kind of dipped. I was like, maybe this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. So, I'm religious. If you're not, that's fine. If you are, great. But I'm religious, and I was just thinking of praying, like, oh man, I really want to create content. I want to put stuff out there that people will enjoy and that people will like. And the idea came to my head that I should try doing a network instead. So instead of just one channel doing, or not necessarily doing multiple, but creating a branch or a studio where a bunch of different channels and podcasts and stuff can sit under. So trying to figure out how to do that was kind of a big task because I know nothing about business. I know nothing about setting up a website or anything like that. So you might see that the website isn't amazing professional quality, but I spent some decent time on it, so it wasn't just thrown together either. But I'm hoping this change is going to be good. I was initially going to do this podcast with my wife, but she's not really one for creating digital media. She likes creating, but she likes creating physical things. She really likes cooking and baking and whatnot. And this just wasn't quite down her alley. So I feel like it is best I give a little bit of background about myself for kind of the first episode of this. So I was born and raised in a tiny itty-bitty town at the tip-top of Utah named Portage. Now, Portage was amazing growing up. It's just a super small town, like 500 people at most. And it was safe enough that we could really go and do whatever we want, as long as we like came home at a decent time. And growing up, all my friends lived in Portage, obviously, because there's nowhere else to go, because the next town was another half hour away. But all my friends were there, and we went to the park every day. We'd play outside. I used to never really be inside. I was always outside and stuff. But as we got older, more and more of my friends moved away, and the town was mostly just old people, or like 2-year-olds. So, for my birthday one year, I got an Xbox Original, and that is what really set me off onto this big old path that I'm on right now. After I got that, I don't want to say I never went outside. I'm not a vampire, although I kind of look like one. But I found myself spending more and more time inside as I became almost addicted to video games and gaming. I had Halo 1. I played my brother's version of Halo 2. I had this other game. I don't remember what it was, but it reminded me a lot like Halo. Like there was humans and an alien race that were fighting. But the art style was a little bit off. Like the bodies of the people were slender and like their hands and their feet were like big. And was cool. I wonder if I could find the name of that game. Like, and you were like the chosen one. I don't even know. But if someone knows that, let me know. Because I'd be interested in actually seeing if I can get like a copy of that for the PC or something. Because it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I think it started with either an A or a P. Seems vaguely familiar. But I played a whole lot of that. I played a lot of Crash Bandicoot. I actually had a PlayStation 2 that I actually got after that. I had more games for it. Played Crash Bandicoot, played Spyro, um, BMX vs ATV. Playing tag on that was the best. That was mine and my friend's favorite things to do. I remember that I also got an NHL game. And I've never really been big into sports, so I wasn't really sure what to do. I assumed you had to get the puck in the goal, but I didn't know any of the controls. Um, and me and my buddy, the only thing we could figure out was how to lay down on the floor. I don't even remember why you could do that. And we just slid across the floor laying down, and that's all we could do. And it was it was the funniest thing at that time because we were like 8. But from there, as more of my friends continued to move away, and then actually my buddy Jake moved into town, I ended up getting an Xbox 360. I never thought for a million years that I would get it because my family was fairly poor, which is fine. I mean, we were in a little itty bitty town. I've got 5 siblings, and I never went without growing up, so I was fine. I loved my childhood, and I love my family and all that they've done for me, and all that my parents were able to do. So don't think that I'm like tossed around like I couldn't do anything because my parents were too poor. I guess we just had different priorities. Because, like, my wife's family wasn't the, like, richest growing up. But I've noticed, like, a lot of their priorities are, like, okay, going and having fun, relaxing, and stuff like that. A lot of ours, like, okay, hard work. And this is going to sound derogatory, but it's not. I'm not, like, trying to put her family down. Because I've also noticed that her and her siblings are a lot closer than me and my siblings. I guess they did a lot more bonding things. We did a lot more doing things, if that makes sense. Like, as soon as, like, if we wanted money, like, from 10 up, we had to go get a job. Like, mowing lawns around town. We had this big old stream ditch that went up through the town, and we'd have to, like, weed that or mow the church, not parking lot, yard. Yard? Yeah, it's still called a yard if it's a church. Anyways, we'd have to do odd jobs around the town. And it sucked, but at the same time, getting something with the money you earned was a billion times better, and it has had a really good influence on me. That's brought me to be the person that's like, okay, if I want something, I've got to work for it. Like, I really want this to work out. I really want this network to work out. So I've been going full speed ahead at it. Like, I wake up at 6:30 every day. I go to bed at like 1 or 2, just trying to get stuff. Anyways, that's a little bit of a tangent, but that's why you're here, to kind of listen to what I've got to say. If you do want to listen to it. I don't know, you might not. I've got a lot of content in other places as well. But where was I? Talking about PlayStation. And then my friends left. And then Jacob came. Yes. So my good pal Jacob Compton, lifelong friend. I had a best friend before him that was my lifelong friend. But he actually moved to Alabama. I've tried reaching out to him a few times, but he's just never responded back to me via Facebook. And I was like, real sad, but it happens. People grow, and people grow apart, unfortunately. But me and Jake are still tight, and he lived on the opposite side of town. Now, it was a small town, but it was also a farming town, so there's a lot of distance between the houses, if that makes sense. So a small town that's large. And this kid, back when we had landlines and like dial-up internet, I would call him on the phone. I think only my mom had a cell phone at that time, and it was like a flip phone, or I think they had just come out with the slide phones. Like, you slid it up and there's a keyboard underneath. But I'd give him a call and be like, "Oh, hey, you want to hang out?" And he'd go ask his mom, And his parents never liked me, and like he had told me that himself, which looking back was kind of a dick thing to do. But we were kids. Kids are honest. They always thought I was a bad influence because I would play video games with him and talk to him that he should make his own choices about things. Growing up, that was a big thing that my dad kind of not necessarily pounded into us, but he really wanted us to know like this life is ours and we've got to make our decisions about certain things. Now, some things the parent does have to make the decision about it because children or adolescents might not even be able to comprehend or grasp the situation fully, whereas the adult might. But certain things, kids need to learn independence at some point. Um, and unfortunately, that led to something totally different that we're not going to talk about. But as I met him, as I called him, and his mom was given like 30 chores to do, and by golly, that kid did it. Like I've got 5 siblings. He has 7 siblings, and he's the oldest, and he's younger than me. So he was like always babysitting. He was like a third parent pretty much and took care of his siblings. But even after all that, he would ride his bike for like 2 miles to come hang out. Or he'd just like walk or run. And I remember I'd sit outside on my porch because I was the first house as you came into the town. Because off the freeway, you're going up into Idaho, and to the left, there's just this long, long, skinny road into this itty bitty town. Itty bitty town was Portage, and I was the first house on the left. And I would sit out on the porch, and I would just wait for him to turn the 4-way stop that we had just up a little hill, to see if like he was actually coming. And this is a pretty constant theme that you'll probably see between me and Jake. But sometimes he would be like, "Yeah, I'll be there," and then he would just never show up, and he wouldn't like call me back to say, "Hey, I'm not coming." So I would spend like my whole day, like I'd get all my chores done, do everything like this, clean my room, so I could get him to come over. And I wouldn't invite over another friend because I want to just do one-on-ones. I guess I was like a businessman or something, or I don't know. I was weird, but so I'd wait for him, and then for hours and hours, and he'd never come. So at that point, it was too late to really invite anyone else, and I just wasted my whole day just like waiting for him to come. But looking back on it, like I wouldn't want to like ride my bike or walk for 2 miles just to hang out with my friend. I mean, at that age. Otherwise, I would have. Actually, I wouldn't have because his parents scared me and they didn't like me. But, anyways, moving forward, Jacob was homeschooled on and off because I love the kid to death, but he has not necessarily commitment issues, but doing stuff issues. So it's going to be interesting to see how this podcast with him goes. But he would just be in school one year, be homeschooled the next year. His parents would like send him to live with relatives in different parts of Idaho, and it was weird. So like sometimes he'd be gone for like a year or so, just in a different state, to stay with family. I don't know what was going on internally with the family, but it always seemed a little odd to me. But we finally got to go to middle school together. I don't really remember him going to. We had elementary school, then we had an intermediate school, which was 6th and 7th grades, and then a middle school for 8th and 9th, and then a high school for obviously 10th through 12th. But I don't remember him in intermediate school at all. Oh wait, he was. I lied because he had a girlfriend, and we'll probably talk about her. But I also had a crush on this girl. But I was kind of like the dumpy, pale friend who was unattractive. I'm still kind of the dumpy, pale friend that's unattractive. But I'm married, and I have a kid, and I wouldn't trade them for the world. Now, he's got a pretty awesome girlfriend, and I'm still waiting for them to get married, because they've talked about it, and they want to get married. But once again, we'll get there. Sorry, another tangent. He had this girlfriend, I remember he gave her these, like, little turtle earrings. Or a necklace. I think it was earrings. and they were tight. They were in love with each other. And then he just like, come eighth grade, he, I told him a boob joke, which he then told to some girls. And then he got reported for sexual harassment, and his mom took him out of school. So that might be a reason why they didn't like me. I thought the joke was funny. I don't remember what it was. Oh, I do remember. It was a Bill Engvall bit. Um, Apparently they didn't think it was as funny as I did. But I remember talking to him. I was like, why would you tell that joke to a bunch of girls? Like that just seems like a really stupid thing to do. I mean, obviously we probably shouldn't have told the joke at all, but we did. Um, anyway, so he's out of school for the next few years. He's out of school for all middle school. He doesn't really do any of his homeschooling, and he like disappears again up into Idaho. Anyways, things got weird. I had fallen in love at the end of that seventh grade year, going into eighth grade, um, and I loved this girl. She loved me, and we were in love. Her mom didn't like me either. No parents liked me, but I don't think I was that bad of an influence. But I guess majority rules in this one. So what can I say? Um, I don't think she liked me because I told her daughter that I loved her. We were only like 13, 14. Like that's what 13, 14-year-olds do. Um, Anyways, for that whole year, I just we just loved each other, and we would hold hands. We never kissed. While we were together, there was a time later that me and my wife broke up for a little bit, and then I kissed. That we'll get to that. That's a weird part. But her aunt worked at the school and told on us because we were holding hands in the hallways one day. And then at the end of the school year, her mom, well, at the end of the school year, she quote unquote broke up with me. I was devastated. And it turns out that her mom was going to take her out of public school if she kept dating me. I was like, okay, well, that seems a little rude. I'm not that bad of a person, I didn't think, but I don't know. I think she was just overprotective, but some a child, I can't say. Anyways, it's all for the better because later that summer, I spent a lot of time on like Kick trying to talk to girls from around the world, and that was a weird stage of my life. There's some weird people. And I remember I talked to like this 18-year-old from Ireland, which remember I was like 13 turning 14, and looking back, I'm like, I was probably catfish. I was probably talking to a pedophile, but I was too depressed to either notice or care. So that was bad. That was real bad. So I kind of just ghosted them and deleted Kick and Snapchat and everything. And one day I was at my sister's watching her dogs. She was somewhere, I think she's in Mexico or whatever. And I was looking on Facebook and I was like, oh, dang, this girl's cute. She's hot. And I went to her Facebook and, just doing some Facebook creeping and found a picture of her and one of her friends that I actually knew that friend. And this is how cool I was. Her friend was wearing a fedora. And I commented, me and your friend have the same fedora. I think she stole it from me, JK. So that was cringy, and I don't know how that landed me this. But she actually responded back and was like, oh, no way. And then we talked through the comments for an hour or so. And we actually started talking over Messenger. I remember I just got dressed. I sent her a picture. I was like, does this look good? Fishing for compliments because I was a cringy child. Cringy teenager. I'm probably still a cringy adult. But she actually responded. She's like, oh, yeah, it looks nice. She's like, oh, I gotta go. Here's my number. And, like, part of me was just like, a girl's number. She gave me her number. Oh my gosh! Like had like an inner panic attack, and I fell hard for this girl. Um, who's actually my wife now. So, um, I then went back home, and she lived in that town that I was talking about before. That's half hour away from my town, and they've got a celebration in that town called Wheat and Beet Days. It's like a harvest festival almost. And I had never been there because once again my family didn't really do those things. So the girl's name is Addison. That's my wife. Call her Addie. And Addie was like, "Hey, are you coming to Wheat and Beet Days?" And at that time, um, I had told her that I liked her because I thought she liked me. Because I was the kid who, every time a girl was nice to me, I was convinced that they were in love with me. Because I was, I don't even know. I don't even know how to describe where I was at mentally. But so I told her that I liked her, and she's like, "Oh, I actually like this other guy." And then it was just awkward, and we didn't talk for like a month. Um, so heartbroken again. I had totally fallen for this girl, and then all of a sudden my Xbox 360 just wouldn't read discs and wouldn't work. So I was a stressed out little 13-year-old with, really looking back at it, not real problems compared to what I have today. But she sent me that, and I had just got my Xbox to start working. So it was like, do I go and play Xbox, or do I go to this event? In order to go to the event, my mom had a cleaning business, and she actually cleaned the bank that was in that little town. I'd have to go and help her. I really didn't want to. So, long story short, I was like, girl, Xbox. Girl, Xbox. And I chose girl. Um, so I go up and I help clean, and I go to the event. And she had told me that she was in color guard, and I didn't fully know what that was. She said it was like the flag spinners at sports games. I always thought those were really cool. I thought it was like mesmerizing. I still do. I love it. I love color guard. And she was in that in the parade that they had. I missed the parade, but I got there right after. And she had invited me to come and hang out with her and her friends. I knew like one or two of them, just from associations that I had made because I did like theater, and I kind of hung out with the weird kids that ended up being the band kids, but I didn't do band because I don't have musical talent. Um, so I remember that I went to the dollar store and I bought cologne because I had to smell good. I've always been very conscious about my smell and everything like that. So I got a bottle of cologne, and I sprayed it all over me. And I kept a bottle. I kept that bottle, and Eddie and I used it on our wedding day as kind of a little hint back because it was cute. It was cute. Just believe me. But I remember I was like such an attention seeker that I pretended to like eat like little mushrooms that grow on the ground. I was like, I wonder if these will poison me. Try to like to get her to like feel bad for me or like pay attention to me, which looking back was really manipulative and stupid. I hate that I did it, but I did. So she would like take away from be like, "Oh no, you got to be careful," and like kind of baby me, or I guess I played like the dumb. I played the dumb blonde in that moment, waiting for my heroine. Um. Anyway, so we hung out, and she was looking mighty fine. Um. And she just looked gorgeous, gorgeous. She had like a nice tan from obviously doing all the marching band. She's got these beautiful, beautiful blue eyes, gorgeous smile, really nice butt. Um, but she had to go home and obviously change out of her marching band. It wasn't she didn't have marching band uniform, but it was like a color guard kind of uniform. It was kind of like yoga pants and then a jersey for the high school and stuff. But she had to go change, and then she's like, "Oh, okay, well, I'll meet you down at this park," which was like across town. I didn't have a car, so I just walked there. But I also had a lot of money because I would work with my mom, and I didn't have any girls to spend it on. So I went with a few of her friends, or that were kind of mutual friends of mine, but not super close. And I just to kind of get like the inner deets on her to see more about this one guy that she liked. Um, and I ended up like trying to buy their friendship by just like buying everything that they wanted at like the little fair, like the harvest festival thing that they were having. Which looking back was a really big waste of money because I don't even talk to either of them anymore. I didn't actually talk to any of them very much after me and Addie started dating, but we eventually got back to them. We met up at that park, and once again, she was stunning. Um, we hung out there for a little bit, and then there was a water like party. The fire trucks would come out and spray all the kids with water, and we'd all like hang out. And so we once again split up. I went and got changed at a restroom that was on the park, and it was disgusting. It stunk, and I hated it. Um, but she got all dressed. We met back up where they were doing the water party, and I remember that the asphalt was like burn your feet hot, but I was determined to walk across it with bare feet to show how manly and strong I was. When we got to the other side, my feet were like on fire. Um, and I remember she was like, "Oh, come sit with me and my family." And I was like, "I don't want to meet your family." So I went and sat down uh, across from this lady and this little boy, and I didn't like click in mind like this was her parents, so they started talking to me, and then her mom was like, "Oh, so who's this?" And I was like, "I'm not here. I don't exist. You can't see me." And Addie was kind of to kind of introduce me a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" Um, that was pretty much it. Her mom didn't really pay any mind to me because Addie had a lot of weird band friends, so she just kind of assumed that's who I was, which was fine because at that point I did not want anything to do with her mom. Which me and her parents, I like to think are pretty close. They've been just like a second family to me, which is what they are now. Anyways, they've always kind of been. They've been awesome, but let's see. I have so much more to say, but not a lot of time. We'll finish up the water park and then maybe we'll finish up the rest of the story in another episode of next week. But we're there at the water party, and Addie had gone over to get by the water, and I kind of was following her around like a lost little puppy, and she started getting like targeted by this one fireman that just kept spraying her. So I ran in front of her, and I just like did the heroic pose in front of her. I was like, "No, you won't get her." And I remember thinking, I was like, "Man, that firefighter's a dick. Like he's just picking on this little girl." I later found out that was her dad. He was just messing with her, and it made so much more sense. But at that time, I was like low key pissed. I was like, "Who does this guy think he is?" Um, so that happens. He goes away, starts spraying the other kid. We decide that we're kind of done with the water, and we're getting a little hungry. So we both went separate ways to get back into our dry clothes, and we were going to meet back up at the little festival thing. Um, and I'll leave that there for this episode for the history, at least. Um, I know I said a lot. It's because my brain is going slow, but at the same time trying to process everything that I'm saying and remember like 7 years ago. So bear with me a little bit. It might be like that for a couple of episodes until I get more used to podcasting. But thank you guys all so much for joining me. If you have something that you would like me to talk about or give my thoughts or opinions on, let me know by going to sickdaystudios.com, and there's a little contact us form at the bottom. But until next time, life may get hard, but as long as we tell ourselves we just got to do it for one more day and say that every day, we'll make it to the end. Bye.